do your hair?
This is the standard grooming. This is that we're one step away from having my ears plucked. Here, the cameras are running, so we're actually live. This is part of the February 21 Salon. That was live.
You just get me every time.
Hi, welcome. Your very good health. Yeah, see?
Cheers.
If
Cheers.
Andrew drinks all that, we're in trouble.
Hold on. It's the majority of it's tonic, no? No?
Right, the other way around. Taste it. I made them.
Oh, that is
That's
lovely. What one's that one? Is that Hendrix?
That's nice. So we got a nice gin to have to keep us going. Right. It's been a month since we did the last one of these. It's been a big month. What's the most important thing happened in the last month?
Oh, Arthur's eighth birthday.
Arthur's 8th birthday, and I gotta tell you, the thing about Arthur's 8th birthday was,
Well,
we don't have birthday days. We don't have birthday days, do we?
We started having birthday weeks because
I haven't signed up to this, by the way. I was just presented it, correct?
I know, but I think for the kids, it's just an excuse to just have a little bit more fun. And also, there was so much planned, and we didn't want to rush it all. So it felt rushed in one day, and luckily the teachers they were off on strike on his birthday.
Oh, we do that in France, by the way, just in case you hadn't realised. But it is interesting because it's different because there's the children are in mass at schools. We can't have parties with the kids and things, and by stretching it out, it makes it sort of that little bit more special. And we even had a birthday for Pappy as well.
Oh, we have. But hold on, I haven't finished talking about Arthur's birthday.
No.
Because he got a shed. I mean, we posted a little bit on social media of Arthur so happy with his shed. I mean, he got the things that he asked for, Pokemon cards, and he got a massive Nerf gun, and he was so happy with everything he'd got in the morning, and the shed was a complete surprise.
Right, one very important thing is he is my son. He has a shed, and actually we spent the day, because the teachers weren't about, we spent most of the day customizing his shed, didn't we? And the customizing of Arthur's shed meant that he and I went to the shops and got a pin board. In fact, it's a proper tool board up there for all his guns and various weapons. It sounds awful when you say it like that, but he's got bows and arrows. And
got a crossbow, which you'd asked for.
Children's crossbows, little stickers in the end, please, just before you go. But all of those sorts of things. And he was screwing the screws in and putting it in. And we had hours of having fun getting that shed up.
Yeah, and I did the organising. I was the one that took over all of these special shed items that are going to live in his shed. And you've got him these tiny little sort of chairs that sort of spring open. And since then, he's just been sort of, saying to my dad or it's a bit more difficult for my mum to get in there. But, even sort of Quinton, would you like to come and sit in my shed?
It's actually very, very special. And what we have in the shed, we have got the collection of dead Molniers.
Oh,
Say that word?
Molnier.
Yeah, Molniers.
It's a hard one to say.
Okay, because it's not one you use every day. We do.
Yeah.
It's something.
But I didn't actually know what it was until you told me. It's Thor's hammer.
Thor's hammer, and Arthur has he wanted one, so we built him one before his birthday, and we built one out of wood and a handle, and it was great. Lasted a week nearly, that one, didn't it?
Yeah.
But Arthur is quite sort of Thor-like with his bashing of his hammer.
Yeah.
And the Mjolnirs haven't been up to it. The second one was a natural one. We broke the handle. I thought, I've made something out of oak. He'll never do it. He smashed down.
It looked like your mum's shillelagh.
In fact, it's called a Mjolnir shillelagh, just so you know, Mjolnir shillelagh. And Arthur actually knows what a shillelagh is now, which is really important. And Granny, when Granny was showing Arthur her shillelagh. You don't say these sentences every day. This is not the sort of thing you say every day, is it? But okay, Arthur's birthday was a biggie, wasn't it?
It was, and actually his favourite food at the moment is Chinese. So we haven't been out to eat for a good year now. So Mr. Strawbridge and in fact all the family, we just got into the kitchen and we tried to create all of Arthur's favourite dishes. But there were so many of them that it did take about 3 days to get through the big sort of Chinese buffet. But it was very healthy.
It was healthy up to the point, but there's one thing Arthur loves, and when you go to the Chinese, they have the griddle there, and he loves his cheese wrapped up in like an air-dried ham, and then it's griddled, so it goes crispy and it's gooey in the middle.
Yeah.
Now, nobody tells you what's in that. So we had to make it up because we can't buy them. So we had Pappy, Granddad was in there.
Dad don't cook.
He doesn't do anything, but he was rolling up, and I couldn't get block mozzarella, so he was rolling up grated mozzarella with Dorothy in the ham to actually cook for Arthur.
It was lovely.
And it was a success. That was probably the most difficult part of that whole thing, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, I know, but
The rest of it's cooking.
Yeah, it was lovely. It was a very, very special sort of few days, I would say. And I just think, you have to make every celebration sort of feel like that, because, the first year that he's not had a birthday party, always have a little bit of guilt about it. But on the way to school, you're going to say, because last year we was all in, we all went to England for the weekend and invited all of our family and friends to Southend for a really, really big party, and then we came back.
I was working. That's where we. That's
You
where we.
were doing voiceover, weren't you?
I was dovetailing that together, so there's a reason for that. Yeah.
And then we had another party where we took nearly his entire class bowling. So this year was very, very different. And Dorothy, because she's a smart, bright cookie, she said, "Arthur, you've only had one birthday in lockdown. I've had two,"
Yeah,
assuming that
Because hers was April, her next one's going to be April, so Arthur's actually winning out left, right, and centre. Bless them.
I know.
But okay, so we had Arthur's birthday, and then Pappy had his birthday. He just got. I tried to explain to Steve he was a day older. I don't know if that sort of worked for him. Yeah, but Pappy, Steve, and we had a nice little party.
He actually had a lovely party. I think there's no expectations, is there, right now? And for these sort of celebrations, and you just cooked him all his favourite things. I mean,
Easy.
Steak, fillet steak.
Yeah, medium rare fillet of steak with peppercorn sauce.
Double white potatoes.
Yeah.
Mum did a peppercorn sauce and a cauliflower cheese.
Yeah, it's easy to keep quiet.
Yeah.
Now that turned up. We've had, as well as the birthdays and things, we have had winter. We've had winter this month, haven't we? It's happened. It's snow, and we don't get a lot of snow here. And that, with the snow, came an awful lot of excitement.
No, it has actually. Talking about this, I like these sitting down and actually just talking about our months, because it's exciting. I think everyone should do that. It's been great, but it has been the coldest that it's ever been since we've been at the chateau. I mean, we had a day -12.
Yeah, no, I think it feels like -12 because the easterly wind. But the temperatures are down sort of -6 to 8. That's not warm, by the way, especially in the chateau.
Yeah.
Although we're here, the chateau is quite warm. We have reached the 21st century, but with the snow came the excitement of, wow, let's get out there and do all the things you do in the snow as a family. And the first sort of opportunity to do that, and you're thinking, hold on, we're going to be doing Escape to the Chateau this year. We got to get it filmed.
Yeah.
And we had the plan for our crew to come out. And by the way, we're sort of chatting to you now. We got Chloe and Jonathan are here. The pointed cameras and pressing for us, but they had to come. They had to come out to see us, and we didn't know when they were going to get A, out of the UK and into France, and B, through all the COVID protocols of being tested in the UK, being tested in France, and then being tested again before they were allowed to come inside our bubble. Because we have a bubble here that is very, very protected, because obviously we look after Jenny and Steve and everybody, and so we're very sensible about this. But we managed, I think it was midnight, that the texts came through saying they'd got on midnight on a Tuesday, they got a text that said, actually, you're both negative. The next morning, turned up, and
actually,
Jonathan hadn't been here before, had he?
No, he hadn't, but also when the snow had laid on that Wednesday morning, it was all just a blanket of powder, and honestly, we didn't expect them to be here until the Thursday, and when that text come through just saying they're negative, we were like, guys, get over. Everyone was walking around, so it was an absolutely gorgeous blanket, except for Petal, who ran through the middle and did a pee.
The kids now know you don't eat yellow snow, by the way. We learned that fairly quickly. But when it came down to that sort of that first morning and thinking we're going to have a chance to capture it, Wednesdays is wonderful Wednesdays for us because the kids aren't at school. And literally keeping them, you could see them, they were fighting to get at the door. Jonathan came in with Chloe, went up, collected the cameras, assembled them, because you take the cameras apart when you sort of leave them in storage for a period of time, put them together. I don't think Jonathan even knew where the loo was before we had him outside trying to film us and trying to film the Strawbridges coming out of the chateau into snow when you haven't
Snow
actually.
angels.
We said hello. We said hello. That was good. We did say hello. The children were just, and it was straight the snow angels.
Straight snow angels.
And by the way, don't do that if you've got a bald patch. It's bloody freezing.
And then it was about another hour of just abusing you, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was picked on.
You was picked on, but I mean, it was a lot of fun.
We had intentions of actually taking the camera and going for the walk around that we normally do, get a chance, because we know when we go out in the snow we do things like track animals. You can see what animals have been there. Couldn't do any of that. No, because we didn't actually get past the gates. Too much snow to have fun with.
There was far too much snow. But the exciting thing is we have got our little crew here, and I mean, talking of team, it has always been a little team. In the early days, it was just one camera person, and then it sort of went to PD and an AP. So there was 2 people here, and now it's never really been more than that, has it? So
it doesn't have to be.
But they're here, and we have started filming Escape to Chateau and Make Do Amend.
Okay, at the moment, Make to Amend has just been launched. It's out there. We're still looking for some people with interesting stories.
If you have got,
feel free to come get in touch. And it's interesting because we are talking to people now. We're getting to that stage where it's about to take off. But because the cameras are here, there's certain things we can actually capture. And it's winter. And next time we speak to you, it won't be winter. Because what will happen is, in a period of a couple of weeks, the sap will rise, there'll be little buds, and we'll be past winter. And it always surprises us, because it always catches us unawares. Yeah. So what we had to do is we had to capture some of our winter jobs.
It was actually quite traumatic, but I'm not going to go into too many.
Oh, well, let's go into a little bit of detail. If anybody remembers pollarding the trees and the absolute shit I got, I'm not going to say it. Well, in my sitting room, I can say anything. But the real grief I got for that, well, we're 6 years in, and there was more things that needed to be chopped down. And you understand the logic, don't you?
I do understand the logic.
Here she understands the logic. Here she says, no, it's too beautiful, don't cut it.
There was a lot of savaging and pollarding and pruning going on sort of over the last couple of weeks. And I just...
Necessarily so.
Okay.
Say
no, I'm not.
Try saying it, you can do it.
I'm not saying it. I will say it when they've all grown back and looking incredible again. Okay.
Well, the winter jobs have been done, and by the time we come, we have got sunflowers up, we've got the daffs are up, the crocuses have been up, we've got all these things that are going, so it's quite good. We've got somewhere there. It's springy now, isn't it?
Babe, if you're happy, I'm happy.
Right, the garden we're going to go into, but we sort of said last time we were going to talk about our team. I think if we're talking about our team, you're not going to feel for where we are now, but the people we've got, we'll go through them, but before that, I think I'd like to go all the way back to the start. The February 15, which is our first real month, so it's exactly 6 years ago, first month here. How big was our team?
Well, it was me and you and the kids.
Yeah. Because Jenny and Steve, Mum and Dad weren't out there at the same time.
No, they weren't. So.
And we had some big jobs to get done. So what we did, we bought Lee and Kyle from London.
And Lee, so I know Lee because he was actually my plumber stroke electrician for his baby. And a good man. And he always turned up within a couple of days when he said he was going to turn up. But he always turned up, and he was just fantastic because it's hard when you're sort of, I was a single lady for a decade in London. Sort of hard to find someone who you trust and who is just nice. And Lee was that, and over the years that he came, he would go over to my nan's, even to my mum and dad's, and he became a sort of a friend of the family. And when we said we were coming to France, I just remember him just going, "What? You're crazy!" And then it was just like, "You want to come out? Because there's a bit of work to do."
I bought Lee for a day trip recce here before we actually owned the chateau. Yeah. And he just thought we were stupid. But the thing is, he's a thinker, and he loved it.
He's a thinker.
He loved the challenge, and our systems, all the sort of the plumbing, the water, the sewage, and everything. We had a blank canvas, and when it comes to our team, the first members, Lee and Carl.
Lee and Carl,
they earned their keep, didn't they?
They really, really did. And Lee's one of Lee's sons, Carl, he was going to be taking over the business one day when Lee retired, which is going to be never. But he's got in with the family business, so they came out together. And this is when we were staying in a G, and it was so sweet because Dorothy, who was 0 years old, she had a massive crush on on Kyle, and she used to get in her little buggy, and she would not let really anyone else sort of like be near her except for Kyle. She just used to sit there and stare at him.
This
It
buggy
was
by
really sweet.
the Jeep we were in had massive, big sort of tiled floor space, and the little trundle bug, where you put the child in, the wheels in the corner, so, and you didn't believe they couldn't tip over to begin with. You were really nervous, but actually Dorothy proved you can't physically tip from the work of the centre of gravity,
It was like a
because she
bumper
went
car.
knocking things over left, right, and centre. But
Right,
she would
yeah.
always be there beside Kyle, just a
Oh.
little bit.
He's a good-looking young man, isn't he? But the two of them, they loved it. And actually, I mean, this is jumping forward, but I always remember hearing Lee say, "I thought they were crazy, but I get it now." He gets it.
And what's more, when we're talking about our team, going back to the very early stages, with just the two of us, we were here, and our idea was to always use the French. We're going to use all our French artisans, get them in, it's good for the language.
Yeah.
And we did, to
We-
be fair.
we-
Pascal, putting the liners
Yeah.
for the chimney and sort of working on
Completely.
the roof, yeah.
I had that fear, you know, which I think is sort of instilled in you, that if you come out here and you don't sort of fit into the community, you will be loathed. And so we did completely try only to go down the French route.
And that's because we thought that's who was available here for us to work with. But we knew we had a real job to do. The first bit of the plumbing, the heating, and the sort of the waste was a massive job, and we couldn't have done it without Lee and Cal,
No.
because they gave a pound of flesh. And by the way, we said it was cold last month. It was the same time 6
Yeah.
years ago, and it was as cold. It was freezing. But it's worth saying, Lee doesn't like the cold.
He does not like the
He
cold.
looked like a sort of a Carhartt Michelin man, wrapped up all the time, getting completely, because we didn't have any electricity, so we couldn't even plug a heater in anywhere.
It's so true. And then when you all used to get back to the G, and we had a big sort of feast, and Lee would get out his chili sauce that his wife makes and sends over Val's chili
Val's
sauce.
chili, yeah. But,
and
but
it
as a
was
team,
good.
you see, they're so much a part of our chateau journey. And
Completely.
it's interesting because Pascal, who did the roof, he's part of the journey as well. Monsieur Manso, who did the electrics, he's not so much part of our journey because,
Well,
quite honestly, he was rubbish.
I had
Not
to.
only to say that, but he was so
Well, I had to.
so slow.
I
No,
had
he's
to-
a lovely man.
He was a lovely guy, but I mean, the early stages, I was dealing with Manso when you was away in America, and it was a bit textbooky, like, you know, or stereotypical. He would turn up, and this is no lie, he would turn up on Tuesday and actually say, "I haven't got the stuff, I'll be back on Thursday," and then he'll turn up 2 Thursdays later and then say, I'm going to come back in 2 days. And after about a month of literally getting nothing done, I just sort of said, I can't do it.
And the thing was, we sort of thought that we would get really good service because look at the chateau, no there's no electricity, no it all has to be done, and you just think he's going, hello, there's money in this
Yeah.
one. But we ended up having to find people to work with us.
We were
And
trying to get the gas installed, and
that was-
that was a pretty sort of.
we
horrific-
finally got the gas certified installer to come along and connect the gas to our heating system, to discover that his documentation had run out and he wasn't certified to do it. And so that was after months of chasing him.
Yeah, so we had quite a lot of parallel stories of a similar nature in the early days, and we were struggling a little bit.
And so what we were doing is we actually went on to the expat system and the people who were living. There's nobody sort of from the UK around us here in this part.
No.
But slightly further north, there's quite a lot of people, and we were looking for expertise. And in our first year, we talked about quite a lot in a year at the Chateau, the book that went out this year.
Last year, no.
Last year,
That
but-
sounded like a plug, but we do go in.
No,
in
but
the
we
book
really
that
talk
was out
about it.
last year.
Yeah,
but we talk about. You can go to Steve.
Yeah, I was going to say
Oh,
Tina.
Tina,
Tina's
yeah.
first. Tina and
Jay.
Yeah, Tina first year, weren't they?
Yeah, they were. So there's a lovely lady called Val, and she actually sort of sorts out a lot of.
She's French,
she-
speaks fluent English. She's a translator. She looks after
And she
people.
connects people, doesn't she?
Yeah.
So she sort of put Jay our way, sort of in the early days, and he was part time. We paid him what we could afford. Dave was doing a little bit a little bit of everything, I think. You know, just even sort of collecting wood and what have you. Sort of doing a bit of sort
Especially
of
when I was
stuff.
away quite a lot. He
Yeah.
was keeping trying to get the wood store topped up for you all the time. Yeah.
And Jay had a friend who was called Tina. They're just friends at the time. And he sort of said, you know, she loves a bit of everything. She does a bit of everything. And she came, and again, we had tea. So we would say that Tina was one of our kind of first members of staff. Tina's still here today.
Tina's still here now. It's interesting because things change. And Tina's got her own big project. She's down by the Samur, down in the Loire, and she's got a little sort of campsite down there. And she still comes to work with us.
She does. But
good campsite, by the way, if you want to go to it.
And this is the lovely part. Tina and Jay are actually together now. They fell in love at the chateau. We called it a bit of a love story. But you know, her and Jay have got a campsite down in Samur, and she sort of comes in for a few days a week, and more when we've got weddings.
If we had events on or anything at all, I don't think she'd want to miss it because she actually loves being part of that. But Tina's been there from the beginning.
And anyone that's been to the chateau would have been charmed by Tina.
Okay, yeah, and so that's back to the very first members of staff, and Tina stayed with us. We've had other members of staff that have come and go, just to be quite blunt about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because not everybody's a fit, and all right, I have been known
to be grumpy, yes.
That
or to be.
Nobody believes that. I get it, but yeah.
Yeah, it's probably a little bit me. I can't stand.
Pardon?
I can't stand anyone. I call them one-handed moppers.
It's not about energy because remember we've got Arthur and Dorothy here, and for us the biggest, hugest part is that they're not affected by the television, by all the work going on the events, because it is our home and everything else. And I think Arthur and Dorothy, we want them surrounded by people who actually you feed off and you work together, and it's all good energy. Yeah, and that's what we ever ask for.
Yeah, you cannot have one bad egg in the team because it kind of, you know. It penetrates through, and so you know that doesn't happen. But talking about good eggs, I think sort of a real game changer for us, who I found on an expat site, and I was just literally going up calling everyone in this category of plastering. Steve B. Dick's builder mate, Steve. Now, when Dick was away, and I am in America working, and I was going through the list, and I called up home number, and Denise answered, and Steve was away on another job, and said, I will get him to call you back, and he did, and then he came over, and we had a couple of, if we're going to be honest, we'd had a couple of plasterers here, and we'd had some French guys over.
I could talk about that for a long time if you want, but I think there's probably laws against what I would like to say.
Yeah, it's a whole 45 minutes, an hour, we could talk about plastering. But he came.
I particularly like the fact that one of them, because they had a mixer and a plasterer, so one person makes one for the plastering, and we met them in a supermarket in the middle of the afternoon because they were tired and they'd gone out to buy beer because one of them had a tired arm.
Yeah,
they did
say to us that...
It's hard work, you know, plastering. And then Steve comes along, Steve does the mix and the spread, and everything else, and works like a little metronome, doesn't he?
He does. He sat right there, exactly where the camera is. I remember it. And he went, sitting there, you know, stern. I'm a real plasterer. And we didn't really know what that meant, but it sounded good. And
it's worthwhile saying what it does mean, actually, because when you come to France, and there's a lot of expat, people reinvent themselves. And it's just like within the community, it's almost known that it's almost like people get their qualifications on the ferry, and they come across and I'm not going to say that, but it is true.
We've been told that.
It's true. And what we have to say is, you know what, you have to take people as people, and we would never make a recommendation about anybody that we work with unless we believed it. And that's so important, isn't it?
Yeah, completely. Well, I gave him a hug, and I can't remember.
Probably burst into tears.
I did. I was really sort of like, it was a game changer because although, you know, here we've got the dilapidated walls and I still love the lime plaster, I didn't want the whole house like that. And we had some real big areas that were really wanted to have done before our wedding. And the entrance hall upstairs, which I don't think really got captured sort of correctly, it's over in that direction. It had...
I really wondered because Angela points over there, and it's the back stairs. And
yeah, but it had been, it had a stove there once upon a time, didn't it? And it was
dripping oil and so on.
It was absolutely sort of rancid, and that was one of the jobs that I really wanted to have done before.
And it's quite reasonable because after all, it's only 6 meters high, it's only massive. And by the way, Steve he's vertically challenged. We can say that. And so we had to actually get him up to the ceiling so he could spread on the ceiling.
I know.
You gave me a nice little challenge there, didn't you?
You did, yeah, absolutely. And I mean, don't even talk about scaffolding. So
No, the cost of scaffolding in France. We bought a couple of cases worth of scaffolding and built our island in the sky. But Steve was the reason why we could do that. But we needed horsepower getting up to our wedding in the first year. And so Denise, his wife, came on.
I mean, I talk about this because I think it's quite funny because we were, if we had all worked around the clock, I mean, so right now we've got us and we've got Jay, Tina and Steve. And that was it. At that particular point. If we'd all worked around the clock, we could not have got done what we got done. And I just said to Steve, because he's in the business, do you know anyone that can do some extra painting? We're really sort of desperate. And he said, yeah, my wife. I taught her. She's really good because I taught her. This little bit of rivalry. So Denise literally turns up the next day, and we've got Tina and Jay, who are lovey. We've got me and you, who obviously are me and you, and we've got Denise and Steve. So basically, our entire group.
But hold on, Denise's take on it. I'm much better than Steve.
I'm much better. So I was just about to say competitive couples. And actually, I've got to say,
good.
She's good. Denise is really good. She gives Steve an absolute run for her money, and she's tidy.
Wives give husband a run for the money, full stop.
Yes. Let's
not be too shy about that. There's nobody out there who doesn't know this. Now, when it came down to that, our sort of first year getting through that, the team, we got to the point when we had our wedding, etc. We were pretty broke after the first year.
We were, and everybody left. After our wedding, everybody left, except for tea. And I remember at the time, and we said, listen, we're super broke, but we don't want to lose you, and we'll take you on for, was it 1.5 days a week? And I think I just remember lots of tears, just saying, I wish we could have you more. But and it was just enough at that time to see sort of tea through. Steve was off doing other jobs.
Yeah.
Denise was sort of just here at the time, just to help us out, really. Obviously paid. And then we sort of waited. We started sort of building up the business, and it was like that, really.
But you see, building up the business, because this is really quite important, because from November through to the television program Escape the Chateau being shown on television June, July, we didn't even know if it was going to be shown on
or when it was going to be shown.
Or when it was going to be shown. So you don't just stop and wait. And so the business had to continue. And when the very first thing that we done, based on your vintage patisserie, was the Food Lovers Weekend.
It was, yeah.
And the very first Food Lovers Weekend, our staffing at that time was how many people?
It was me and you and the kids.
And the kids are very constructive, as you know, when it comes to this sort of thing. But that was our, and so the team had to build, and that was the first money that we had coming in. Yeah. I was working away, by the way. It's not, a job came up. I was just being a tart and going and presenting and doing stuff, any opportunity. Yeah. Because I went off to Ireland to build plane in Ireland. Yeah.
You were being. I actually, although this is very unlike me, do you remember I went to Anyhow Park and actually
an event?
I actually styled somebody's wedding in a tea party style. Anyhow House. It's just been sold now, and I'd always wanted to go. I'd never actually been, and it was simply incredible. Sort of self-made man. So James invented the rave actually, and it was absolutely fantastic. But I did realise when I went away, I just missed the kids, and I just couldn't. I couldn't be away. When you go away, you go away because when you go away.
When I go away, I miss the kids. When Nick goes away, it's okay.
No, but it's different.
I'm sure that's what you said.
No, but when you go away, you're going to work, and it feels. Yeah. But I just can't be away from children. So that's why we actually have created our life.
We have done it, but it's the exception rather than the rule, isn't it, for us?
Absolutely.
But in that period, the first half of 16, it was very definitely building up the business, and we didn't have a team as such. Steve came to some jobs when we could afford to have him in, and if I went away and earned some money, or if you went away and earned some money, went in the pot, we hired people to do something.
I actually don't remember having Steve around for the first part, but it was only when we had our first wedding booked in by actually an old client of mine, because when I used to run the vintage patisserie. I used to sort of do chocolates and cakes, and I used to do a lot of work for a young lady called Charlotte. And when I actually launched the wedding brochure and the website, literally I got a call the next day saying, I've just been waiting my whole life for you to start wedding businesses, book me in. and actually at the time, she called me for saying this actually, she said, actually, could you book me in for 2 years' time? Because I'm going to have a baby and then I'm going to get married. And I said, look, Charlotte, you know me a long time. I'd never, ever lied to you. Get married first. Because when you have babies, it will feel different, trust me. So she said, okay, do you think you could do a wedding in August? And we were like, oh yeah. And it was
First wedding.
Yeah. And then actually doing stuff at the chateau.
Hold on, the first wedding
was important again.
Remember the contracts? Because you don't have a contract. We're doing our first wedding. Remember sorting out the contracts about how you get the various, what stages people pay, and when it comes. And you've got to remember the first couple of years of us being here when we're away working, the first deposit came in for a wedding. That was another job to be done.
Yeah.
Because we could do another job, and then we could actually have more people.
Absolutely,
That was hand to mouth, wasn't it?
It really, really was. Literally, like, I think I got all the chairs done with the first
We had to have the chairs for them to sit on at the wedding.
Yeah.
But it's okay, they got paid for by the deposit. It
was literally hand to mouth like that. But it did, as the wedding sort of started to ramp up, it did start to sort of cause a concern that we didn't have any staff. And we did, I mean, we scrabbled around a little bit. We scrabbled.
We were run ragged, actually, to be fair, because we didn't have a team that knew what was happening. The only people that knew was us, and we were working hard.
Yeah.
And by the time it came to Charlotte and Richard's wedding, we had the cameras back, because the first serial had gone out, and people actually watched Escape to the Chateau, which we didn't know, because we were prepared to set up a business without the television. Yeah. That was one of the key things.
Absolutely. And completely. And it wasn't commissioned, just so you know, you don't have this sort of planning. It wasn't recommissioned until the first one had gone out, because, you know, it could have been a complete flop. We were surprised and delighted that people liked it.
But when it came to how we're doing the film, we don't talk about. Well, in fact, we do really need to go in and sort of talk about the whole start of television things at some stage.
We will. That's
downstairs. We'll go to it's a salon chat with you, isn't it? But when it comes down to how we work with television, it's very interesting, because the only person that's in charge of everything in the chateau, her name is Angela. We don't have a contract that lets people tell us what to do.
Okay, that's not totally true. But no.
Well, who else is in charge? Dorothy?
No, we do.
Dorothy and you? Tell me somebody else who's in charge.
Stop tickling me.
Who else? This is feet to the fire. Who else is in charge apart from you, Dorothy?
Right. You.
Oh my! There's not a single bloke who believes that.
No, but that's. Oh, come on. But there is no one. Okay. The other point of this same story is that there is no one telling us you have to do a wedding, or do you know what? Tomatoes are really in fashion. Could you do a story on tomatoes? Or could you do this? Could you design the wallpaper? No one does that, because no one knows what's in our minds. Okay, and
it's
no one else.
On what it is.
Yeah, and no one else pays for it except for us.
That's a very good reason to be in charge.
And also, something that always annoys me when I read people's comments on social media.
Channel 4 had bought the chateau for us. Imagine.
He's obviously taking the mickey. So I'm so glad they did. So okay, we got through. We had our friends Jai and Adam. They came over. Do you remember doing the food?
In the kitchen,
you know. Had
just the support.
Nina and Freddie.
We were bringing in people to try and help, because we didn't have a team. One wedding, you don't have a team. Yeah,
no, you don't. We did bring in some people all around the place, and it was wonderful. It was perfect, and I remember it being exactly what Charlotte wanted, and I remember having a little bit of a meltdown behind the laundry.
It is genuinely the swan. You know, that serene thing forward for everybody, all the guests. And underneath, never mind paddling like shit, we were run ragged. We're talking about sort of 20-hour days.
Oh, absolutely.
It was not funny.
It really was. And I took on the responsibility. I so wanted it to be perfect. And actually, I know that that's the sort of person I am. Anyway, it doesn't matter if it's a food lovers or a wedding or a fun and festivity. I want that experience to be nice for everyone, and that's why I was in hospitality mentality. You know, I care a lot, and I remember the meltdown was over the silliest thing because we had bought this little ice machine. No, Mum and Dad had lent us theirs from the restaurant, and it was not a professional one, but it was quite an expensive domestic one, and it just couldn't keep up, and we were continuously out of ice. But no one really
ice skate.
no one really knew, but we were literally like running around putting ice.
You can't buy bags of ice in France.
They don't.
You
do it.
can't buy bags of ice
Yeah.
and something like that. And trying to get it. And actually now we probably have a chest freezer full of ice just in case we need another one in our gin. You know that's where we are now, isn't it?
Yeah, it completely is.
We will never run out of ice again.
We've built everything up that we managed to buy a commercial ice machine, and we're never ever going to run out of ice. In fact, that's the reason why we have so much ice, is because I'm scarred, I'm damaged goods.
Yeah, there's so many things just going on. We have to talk. I think we'll have a little chat with you at some stage about planning a wedding and about exactly how Angela plans to make sure that nobody ever runs out of anything.
Yeah, plan B's and C's. You must always have
contingencies.
Okay.
What is it to? We'll come back to that one. Right now, our team. That stage we didn't have a team. We're running around, and you've built the team. The team. We have. You kiss a lot of frogs before you get your little princesses.
But when 2016 happened, we did not have a team because our TV show had only just been out and we'd only had one wedding.
But I think it's worthwhile coming forward now because people, where we are now, and we have got a team, but we haven't got events, we haven't got weddings, we haven't got things. Yeah. And so it's interesting because even when we were getting people together to sort out some of the work in the garden, we had Steve B, the builder mate Steve, he was actually had his chainsaw out doing stuff because we're trying to keep we have people involved still because they're our team, and that we have to make sure that we can sort of sustain them as well. Absolutely.
I mean, so Tina and Steve, they're still here today.
Yeah.
Tina's sort of part time because she's got a lovely campsite with Jay. Steve, he's always.
He's never got away, has he? If you don't know, he does live in the cellar. All right, so it's under the children's bed. There's got bars. It's all right. We let him out into the sun once in a while because that's why he doesn't look too pasty.
But he has only for the last couple of years kind of been here all the time. Before that, he would come and go and do other jobs. But actually, as we've got busier, he sort of stays here.
As we can afford.
Yes.
Work means we've had income. Income means we can spend.
So Sasha. Sasha, you must have seen Sasha around. She's gorgeous, full of energy, just the loveliest.
She doesn't walk.
She runs everywhere.
She doesn't walk.
Oh, even if she's just going to go and get a box of tissues, I love it. She's like, I'm going to get a box of tissues, and I just love that energy. And Sasha came to us because she was coming to work for events, and actually
because she was waitressing and doing.
She was waitressing,
but she came in, she just fitted completely. She's such a
lovely
family. The girls, Rob, everybody, Alicia and Ellie Mae, they're just lovely. And
Arthur,
I can't see Sasha.
Arthur tell me off, but he's madly in love with Alicia, because
she's only 17.
And she's absolutely gorgeous. And she
Arthur, respect, fella.
She's absolutely beautiful. She wrote a Christmas card to him this year.
Birthday card.
I think it was Christmas and a birthday card, but she wrote, "I love you, Arthur." And Arthur was like, but when last year, the year before, when we all could actually go out and socialise, we went out for a very grown-up meal. We took everyone to Wren's and we let them stay in this sort of. We all stayed in this sort of spa hotel.
That was our staff Christmas function.
It was our staff Christmas function, and the children came out with us. They were up till sort of gone 10 o'clock, and Arthur sat next to Alicia the whole time in the restaurant. It was
making sure her drink was filled up, making sure that she got what she asked for. Arthur was the consummate gentleman at the age of 6.
He was absolutely took her chair out. And Sasha works part-time because she's got the girls, and when we've got a wedding, she does a little bit more. And Sasha, we say, Sasha sort of sprinkles the house, or Sasha does. And when we have...
I mean, she hides things, by the way.
And she does...
Sasha and Quinton hide things.
Yeah, well, we're coming on to Quinton, but Sasha was one of the key ladies in doing all of the turnarounds, like when we have weddings and stuff, And look, as every business grows, so does the team. But, at the early days, there was no Sasha. Now we have a Sasha because we are going to have events business again. So Sasha come along, and she's not going anywhere.
And as we're saying, we are still working. There's no events business, but we are working on a lot of things. We just don't sit around waiting for a wedding. I think that's a very important thing.
Yeah.
And Sasha, I can't actually ever see her going. I don't think she can ever see herself going either.
What?
Sasha is part of the infrastructure of the chateau.
She is, and we've done some other really sort of exciting jobs together. You know, clearing out the where your workshop was. Oh, that was so much fun. We wouldn't have had the time ordinarily to do that. So you know, it's all good. We're finding sort of we're keeping busy.
Right. So Sasha is there. Sasha was raised in France.
Was, yeah.
She's very British.
She's really British.
She's very British. But talking about not being British.
Okay, it's Quinton. Although you know, Quinton, I do sometimes.
He doesn't know any French words. You ask him a French word, oh man.
So Quinton sent us an email. It was the weirdest thing. He was in Australia with his partner, and they sent us an email saying, "Oh, I'm actually." Quinton said it was young boy. Whenever I Google his search for his name, it comes up young man looking for a job, and I was like, okay, great subject title. And he's like, I'm in Australia. I've watched your program. I'm actually from Laval. Do you have a job? Now, at the time, we didn't quite have a job because we sort of thought, oh, we don't want to commit to somebody. But I did reply to him straight away because he put a lovely little picture of himself. It was like a sort of I don't know, quite a preppy picture. And I said, not yet, but actually, give me a few months, and when the wedding season starts, come and be in the wedding season with us, because he loves hospitality. And he started the week before. Was it 2017?
Darling.
Or 18?
I don't even know what year it is now.
The week before one of our wedding seasons, I think it was 18 actually, and it was a baptism of fire, and he absolutely loved it.
He's got Sasha's type of energy, and we run them ragged. We do run them ragged.
Yeah. But he loved it. He absolutely loved it. Now
we've got our translator in the family. Yeah. Because now Quinton is just so there with that.
But because we know we're going to start events again, we have not wanted to sort of say to everybody, come back in a year or two, you know.
That's how you lose a team.
It's how you lose a team that we've really sort of nurtured and sort of brought together. So Quinton's quite a lot out in the garden. He's doing sort of bits of what is Quinton doing?
But it's also worth saying that when it comes to making the television, we need French speakers and we need things there. So Quinton and his partner Alexi, the two of them are actually there. You'll see them in the credits.
It's very true. They're doing a bit of research.
They're doing sort of research and fixing and stuff because just finding out what's happening with COVID in France. Getting reports made, Quinton actually translating, getting things done. And to be fair, he is interesting because he's loving and he's involved with us in every way. But he's thinking of his future and what he wants to do. I think he'd just like a chateau.
Oh no, I don't know if it's a chateau or a farm. But he has.
He started off wanting somewhere bigger to do things, but I think he's maybe thinking farming now. But it's interesting because Quinton is just so willing, like Sasha, and
this love.
There's a theme here about people, isn't there?
Yeah, and there is, and what is also interesting is when I go shopping for sort of prezzies and stuff for the kids, it is often Sasha and Dorothy, and I have to say, lovely little Chloe here is part of the camera crew. Would often buy threes of things,
one for Sasha, one for Chloe, and one for Dorothy, because Dorothy is 6. And so is Chloe, and so is Sasha.
And when I buy things for Arthur, be it Pokemon or Harry Potter or something, it's
what's more, it's interesting because that's for Arthur and it's for Quinton, and now Jonathan's here. Even though Jonathan, it's going to be 3.
Yeah, and it was Miles. Can't forget Miles.
Miles was here last year. So there are some themes here about.
So it's the energy. Obviously people need to be efficient, but they've got to have that good energy. And I mean, we can't forget Steve P, who sort of turned up last year because we, had some serious sort of roofing sort of issues, didn't we?
Steve P. Steve Pearson is actually Steve. Dorothy called him Steve PP because PP means wee wee. And so Steve PP is there.
Stuck.
Yeah, and Steve and Rachel, he's a roofer, and what's what he's brilliant. He's a good roofer. But again, his energy and he gets stuck into. Yeah. He is a very good man, and as part of the team, I think I quite like the fact he's nearly as grumpy as me about some things, and I think that's quite interesting as well. But he is as a worker and as a smiler and having fun. I don't think he quite understood what he let himself in for when he said he liked doing roofing. The orangery, the pride in the orangery. Oh. There's the dog work because we've had some of the outbuildings squared away as well in this quiet period. And it's just great. But this year, the chateau roof needs to be started. And Steve is so excited about the fact that we've got a massive roof to get on with. And we've got a problem getting the slates, we've got a problem getting the scaffolding, we've got a problem with this, problem with that.
It's hurdles everywhere.
But it's a period that we're sort of thinking, do we bite the bullet? There'll be more of that later. But Steve PP is a good man.
He's a good guy.
And because when he came along, because he's good, we have to keep him and we have to keep him involved. But that's why we're sort of working to keep our team as well as working to sort of grow, aren't we?
We completely are at the moment. And I guess what's interesting is that at the end of 2019, we have had a successful events business, and the successful events business was funding, the boat, all of the stuff that we were doing on the, which you saw on the television. That was being funded because we were doing fun and festivity days, we were doing wedding days, and our team was getting bigger and we were getting busier. And at the end of 2019, we took on Amanda, only to be doing at the time. Amanda, when people come to a fun and festivity day, they get a hand sort of a watercolour, original, and then Amanda would paint in them as people, so they would take it away. It's better than like a canvas bag or something. It was a memento. So Amanda came and was doing all of those in 2019, and at the start of 2020, she did everybody one for 2020, and now that Amanda is not doing those right now because the fun and festivities days haven't happened for a year and a half, we sensed that actually she just was missing being around people. So she's coming around sort of a few times a week for an afternoon.
Amanda
and you're
is
keeping
my
her busy.
gardening friend. And what happens is, it's part-time, it's not for full days, it's not every day, but when she comes along, between us, we'll have a little chat about what's been done. She hasn't got the same sort of in-depth knowledge a gardener would have, but she's got the spirit.
She's an artist.
What's that about? What's that about? Artists, damn them, these creatives. But actually, it's good. She comes now with her boots on, and she's got her sort of work belt with the little things in it, and it gets stuck in. And we can ask her to do anything, and she'll have a go at it. That attitude. We want her here for her artistic bits for when we need them. But actually, at this stage, she's just sort of wonderful to have around.
Absolutely, and keeping the team together. There was Amanda's friends. You can sort of see how it all kind of works together. But said, I've got a lovely friend Jane who is absolutely brilliant. She does a lot of Jeep turnarounds. So at the 2019, she came on board and started doing the turnarounds when we were for weddings only. So when we were having a wedding, all the ladies would leave the honeymoon suite, and it would need to, someone needs to go in there and kind of.
This is the morning wedding. So this is during the wedding day. All of the bridal party get together, and by the time we come downstairs and everybody's sort of going through the ceremony, somebody has to get up around there and blitz it. So when they come back up in there, it looks like it looks as lovely as it should be.
So Jane also didn't have a job, and she was absolutely fantastic. So we didn't want to lose Jane. So Jane's doing a little bit of admin for us at home as well, keeping the team together. And as soon as we start events again, she'll be sort of back in there. And Meredith, because I feel like I've known Meredith honestly all of my life. She helps me with a little bit of everything in the admin world, sort of, online, etc., etc. And she had, whether you believe this or not, I still cried though when she told me. But she had like this tarot card reading when she was in like her 20s, and they said that when she was grown up, or in her future, she was going to work for a lady called Angel in France. And it was, when she told me.
I haven't heard that before.
You have.
I have never heard that before.
Last time I told you, you said the same thing.
Well, in that case, I blanked it out because it's too spooky. Because I have never heard that before.
Really? Well, you did. She really did. So Meredith started because she was going to be my right-hand lady for helping with the event organisation, because there are so many little bits from hotels to coaches to, getting things ordered, making sure the drinks. And at the time, I said, come on and help us on this side, because she's so organised. Well, we are organising because we're disappointment managing, but Meredith helps with all of that. And honestly, everybody's roles in the next year, hopefully, by the end of this year, is going to change again. So, but you know, we're keeping the
We'll
world
come back.
busy.
We'll come back. We'll come
Yeah.
back to our original role things. There's a couple of parts of our team that really have to be mentioned. We are here. You just worked out what I was going to talk about, weren't you?
Yeah.
We got two different elements in this, and the first.
And they're not. It's not chateau based.
It's not chateau based, but
Yeah.
our team. And we're talking about our team. We are making Escape to the Chateau, and we're making Make to Amend with a co-production, Two Rivers Media, Chateau Television, our company,
Yeah.
with our brand, with everything else, working together. And back in Glasgow, there's a team of people who are actually quite special and wonderful.
Amazing.
And we don't, you know, if you look at the credits, all the names down there are nice people. This is the world we live in.
Yeah.
And Lizzie Wooten, who was there as our exec, she was there from the very beginning of Escape.
Lizzie was our commissioner at Channel 4. I mean, it's just so wonderful how it's come around. And she was there for sort of, I think, up to series 4, and then she went off travelling and went back to Two Rivers. And we can't lie, you know, she was the pull, because Lizzie was sort of, has always been kind of our guardian and our rock in TV world. And we were just quite happy.
Special lady.
Really special.
But hold on, you know, we live in a world where we work quite hard, and if we send an email at 12 o'clock, she'll respond at 5 past 12. And our world of that, but the whole Two Rivers Media partnership that we have, there's a lot of teletalk that we could give you more detail about later on. We are very lucky. We have met some really creative, really organised and lovely people. Kathy and Dee, they're looking after us on that side of life. Mm-hmm. You know, Abby, who had been a series producer. The editors, Jackie, who
actually sort of followed suit. So Jackie was
down in London. She's been involved with the Glasgow, moved with us and through with us.
Yeah.
But on the editing side, we have got some very special telly people we have dealings with,
yeah.
and that team has evolved over time. And could we be happier?
No, we couldn't actually be happier.
Oh, well, that's not even the end of our team talk.
No, it's not, and we've got, interestingly, and it's the reason why we're all here in the Salon.
The Salon!
I think it's quite a nice way to finish. We've got our Chateau sort of .tv team, which is the online team, and actually it all started with
Paul and Emma.
Paul Bradley, coming to a fun and festivity day here at the Chateau, and sort of by the Van der Van pitching to us about doing a sort of photo book. Now Paul is a printer. He's a printer by trade, but he is an entrepreneur.
He's a creative. He's a
creative.
thinker. Yeah.
Anything is possible, and you know.
Energy positive.
Yeah, and we've worked with him and his wife Em, who actually, you know, is his wife, but has always been part of the part of the chats. Simon, who is really geeky and techie, and.
You love it. He's also quite a fit, muscly bloke who acts quite masculine, apart from a geeky techie
guy,
thing.
Yeah.
Geeky techie thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
That puts you into sort of somewhere where you don't have sunlight. You know, you need to understand how these descriptions work, girl. But I think for that mindset, but the team is phenomenal. And now Ella.
And it was actually just before lockdown we took on Ella, who happens to be Paul's daughter, but also was exactly right for
she's so good.
Right for what we were doing. But interestingly, you've seen this, and that's why you're here at Salon. We have had 1 year going into 2 years, no events. So of course we have put our energy into building other parts, you know, and it is
soft. The world like this.
It is soft furnishes, notebooks, or whatever. But we had to fill a gap, and actually, because we're filling a gap, we are building that team. And now we've got Tom, and we've got Becca, and we've got Eve, and
Ed.
And Ed.
Yeah.
I mean, Bella is our brand guardian, you know, who sort of.
We have well, actually, to be fair, I would just say this team is pretty significant, and I blame you, because my girl's clever.
Darling.
My entrepreneurial, beautiful wife is the reason I'm sitting my arse down here drinking gin. Okay, and
that's very, very sweet of you to say, but we do feel proud, of where we are now. But the bottom line, and I think this is the biggest thing, is that we wouldn't have that team if we didn't have the support of everyone, and you continuously inviting us into your world, and just sort of, you know, supporting. And you know, and everyone here who's at the salon, which we love these because it's like a day. Every night's going to be a day. And we're probably not going to be in the salon next time, just so you know.
Yeah, I was going to say, I sort of plan what we're going to chat, and a couple of nights in the salon, but actually our life, we don't sit like this and have a drink very often.
No, not
So
very often.
I may just take you to another part of the house where we're actually going to, we'll do something.
We'll let you know. But honestly, thank you very much.
Yeah. Hey, listen, February wasn't too shit, was it?
Cheers.
Look after yourselves. Thank you very much.